Welcome back to PC Builder, I'm Jason. This is our mid-year update to our best Prebuilt Gaming PC 2024 buying guide. We're going to help you find the best Prebuilt Gaming PC in 2024 for your budget, and we'll make specific product recommendations for 1080p, 1440p, and 4K PC gaming. Now, the most crucial component for the best Prebuilt Gaming PC in 2024, it's the graphics card, also called the GPU. That determines your FPS at different resolutions, 1080p, 1440p, or 4K. The graphics card also comes with its own video RAM, or VRAM for short, which is different than the system RAM. In 2024, newer AAA titles at high or ultra settings, they often require more than 8GB of VRAM, even at 1080p. Though if you primarily play competitive shooters, this is less of an issue. For 4K gaming, I recommend a GPU with at least 16GB of VRAM, 12GB for 1440p, and 8GB for 1080p budget gaming. Easy to run titles like CS2, they need less powerful GPUs compared to demanding titles like Cyberpunk 2077. While AMD, Intel, and Nvidia, they all make graphics card, for whatever reason, NVIDIA graphics cards dominate the current pre-built gaming PC market in 2024, so we'll mostly focus on their GPUs. For 4K, going from the fastest to the slowest, we have the RTX 4090 24GB, the RTX 4080 and 4080 Super 16GB, and the RTX 4070 Ti 16GB graphics cards. Now, these benchmarks are averages of mostly single-player titles that are harder to run, and with esports games like CS2, you'll get a lot more FPS. Moving to 1440p, we add in the RTX 4070 Ti, RTX 4070 Super, and 4070, all with 12GB of VRAM, the RTX 4060 Ti with 16GB of VRAM, and the RTX 3060 12GB at just about a 60 average FPS. AMD's Radeon RX 7600 XT 16GB is also available on some pre-built models. For 1080p, budget options include the 8GB models of the RTX 4060 Ti and RTX 3060, along with the RTX 4060 and RTX 3050 with 8GB of VRAM. I've also seen AMD's RX 7600 8GB available as well. For those of you wondering if you should buy a pre-built gaming PC in 2024 or wait for the RTX 5000 series GPUs, well, nothing's official yet, and the current rumors are that we'll get the RTX 5090 and 5080 either at the end of 2024 or early 2025, with mid-range RTX 5000 series GPUs launched later in 2025. It then usually takes a couple months from launch to get them into the pre-built market, so a conservative guess is RTX 5090 and 5080 pre-builts in the spring or early summer of 2025. The number two most important part of buying the best pre-built gaming PC in 2024, it's the CPU. Now, high-end gaming PCs should pair an RTX 4070 Super or faster graphics card with a Ryzen 7000 series CPU or Intel 13th and 14th gen CPU with a K in their name, like the i7-14700K. But you should avoid any Intel i9-13900K or 14900K CPUs, as those models have been plagued by instability issues. Now, budget-friendly CPUs like Ryzen 5000 or Intel's non-K CPUs pair well with GPUs around the RTX 4070 or slower. We do expect the latest Ryzen 9000 series CPUs and Intel's Arrow Lake CPUs to launch this year, but it isn't clear when they're going to be available in the pre-built gaming PC market. The only other CPUs I would avoid are the Ryzen 8000 series, as those were built with AI processing at the expense of graphics card bandwidth, and they're not gaming CPUs. For system RAM, 16GB is still adequate for most games, but 32GB is better for a handful of newer AAA titles to avoid occasional micro stuttering. Now, mid-range and high-end PCs generally come with DDR5, while budget systems often use DDR4. Aim for RAM in pairs of sticks for optimal performance, with DDR4 speeds of 3200 to 3600 and DDR5 speeds of 5200 or higher. Let's talk thermals. Proper cooling is essential to avoid thermal throttling, which kills your FPS. Now, for Ryzen CPUs with 6 cores or non-K Intel CPUs, low-profile downdraft coolers are usually sufficient, though tower air coolers are preferred. For 8-core Ryzen or i5 Intel CPUs with a K in their name, use at least a budget tower air cooler or 120mm liquid AIO. Higher-end CPUs like the Ryzen 12 or 16 cores or the i7 and i9 CPUs with a K should use at least a 240mm AIO or a larger air cooler. And make sure you get a case with adequate airflow to vent out the hot air, and at least 2 intake fans with 1 exhaust with a mesh front paneling or significant airflow gaps. Let's talk upgradeability for your pre-built gaming PC. Now, systems built by system integrators called SIs for short, like CyberPower, ABS, or Skytech, They use standard off-the-shelf parts, ensuring easy future upgrades. Original equipment manufacturers, called OEMs for short, like Dell, Lenovo, and HP, may use some non-standard parts, which limits upgrades, but it does make their PCs cheaper right now. OEMs can save money, but SIs offer more flexibility, so keep this in mind when buying your pre-built gaming PC. Let's jump into the best pre-built gaming PC 2024 product recommendations. Now, links for everything are going to be down in the video description, and we're going to update that list of best deals every couple of days, so check those out. Now, a fire emoji means it's a particularly great deal, and 2 fire emojis means it's an amazing deal for the price. Let's jump into the best 4K gaming pre-built PCs in 2024, and we're going to start at the top and work our way down. Remember, everything's linked down in the video description. Check that out for the current best deals. Right now, the absolute fastest GPU on the planet is the RTX 4090. And you want to pair these GPUs with relatively fast CPUs like the Ryzen 7800X3D, which right now as I'm filming this is the fastest gaming CPU on the planet. I like this deal. How much are you looking to spend? Somewhere between $3,000 up to $3,500, $3,600, depending on how you kit this out, how much storage you want, how much RAM you want. I'd recommend 32 gigs of RAM. I really like this particular configuration for $3,400 for $3,399.99, right? Add the penny in. It's got a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. I'd love to see this be 2 terabytes instead. That being said, 32 gigs of RAM, 2 thumbs up, 1,000-watt power supply, and I love that it comes with a 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooling. Kind of overkill for the 7800X3D because it's so power efficient. But nothing wrong with overkill on our cooling. We love to see it. The case has great airflow to it. This is the Montech Sky 2 case. I love it for both DIY PC builds and for pre-builds like this. Overall, phenomenal value for $3,399. Let's punch through some other 4K gaming pre-builds that won't cost you almost $3,000. The good news is, if you don't want an RTX 4090, you can save quite a bit of money with something like an RTX 4080 Super, an RTX 4080, same performance level on those two, or the RTX 4070 Ti Super 16GB GPUs. Here we got the CyberPower PC, good one. i7-14700KF, again, the i7s didn't have the same problems as the i9, so I feel great about those. 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, great. 2 terabyte NVMe SSD, 2 thumbs up there. Overall, it looks like it's got a ton of airflow, a 240 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler. Great deal for $2,269. Jumping over to another RTX 4080, this one 4080 Super, Prebuilt Gaming PC, so 4K capable easily. And remember, there's no difference in performance between the 4080 and 4080 Super. I don't even know why I introduced the 4080 Super, to be quite honest. And this one's got a Ryzen 7 7800X3D. Now this one's over at Newegg. It's $2,199. You get the $50 off for Newegg Plus members. Don't worry, you signing up for Newegg Plus is for free. So you get the $50 promo code off for free. This one comes with 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. Love that. 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler. Total overkill for the 7800X3D, but there's no problem with overkill on the cooling. Only 1 terabyte Gen 4 SSD. I would love to see 2 terabytes here. That being said, adding additional storage in the future is relatively easy. It's probably the easiest thing you can upgrade in your gaming PC. One of the things I do like about Newegg, this is the retailer we're looking at here, they are one of the largest US retailers for PC parts, and they are really good about giving system specs like right up front. You don't have to go hunt for them, so you can get all the specs right here, or you can click on the specs here. And for their ABS brand, because they also take some of the off-the-shelf PC parts that they would normally sell to the DIY PC market, people like me, and they put them together in gaming PCs under their ABS brand. They tell you exactly what parts you're getting, which is super nice. All told, for $2,199, a fantastic 4K gaming PC. If you've got around $2,000 to spend, you can get an RTX 4070 Ti Super, and this one with a Ryzen 7 7800X3D. Again, the current fastest gaming CPU on the planet. It's got a 240 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler. The configuration very similar in terms of the airflow setup. It's identical case. I think this one maybe have just a little bit more RGB with the RGB strips on it. Looks great. 2 terabytes NVMe SSD, 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, $1,999, great pickup. And rounding us out here, just to give you a sense of the lower bounds for 4K gaming PC pre-builts out there, ABS-K is right now selling for just about $1,900. This is with an i7-14700KF, 2 thumbs up there. RTX 4070 Ti Super, and 32 gigs of quite fast memory, 6,000 speed out there. 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, so a little bit less on the storage, but also they got the promo code right now, so you can get this for $1,850 basically. Really good deal. Let's jump into the best 1440p pre-built gaming PCs in 2024. Remember, the links down in the video description are going to have the best deals right now. And obviously, any of the 4K gaming PCs I just showed you will do super high frame rates at 1440p. So let's jump into something more kind of in the mid-range. So if you've got maybe like $1,000 up to about $1,700, this is the kind of PC that you're looking for out there. Let's start on the high end. So we're looking for like the RTX 4070 Super and RTX 4070 Ti, the non-super version, if you can still find it. They're discontinuing that GPU, but those are about the same speed in terms of GPU power. Something like this, the Skytech Eclipse with a Ryzen 7 7800X 3D CPU, again, the fastest gaming CPU on the planet as I'm filming this, 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, a 1TB NVMe SSD, and a 360mm all-in-one liquid cooling. So this is a much more premium gaming PC for $1,579. Don't worry about the Newegg Plus membership. It's free to join Newegg Plus, so just join for the 20 bucks off, basically. Overall, great deal if you're looking for something more premium. Of course, not everyone wants a full-size gaming PC, and if you're looking for what are called mini ITX builds, these are very, very small form factors. They're typically very hard to find in terms of pre-built gaming PCs. It's just harder to do these builds. However, if you're looking for one, here you go. Cooler Master, that actually designs a lot of these cases, is doing these builds. This is the Cooler Master NR200 Pro. It's an ITX case with an RTX 4070 Super in it, an i7 14700F, 2 thumbs up there, and a 280mm all-in-one liquid cooler that's top mounted. Now this thing is amazing. It's got 32 gigs of DDR5 6000 speed RAM, 1TB NVMe. It's a little bit more expensive. It's $1,799. But what you're paying for here is the much smaller form factor. So if you're looking for more like a mini ITX pre-built gaming PC, this is the one to get. Of course, if you've got a little bit less to spend, you can pick up something like this, the ABS Orkin Ruby. Now this is with a Ryzen 7 7700X, also pretty high performance gaming CPU for this level of GPU, which is the GeForce RTX 4070 Super out there. This has 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, again, 6000 speed, 2 thumbs up there, and a 1TB NVMe SSD. But what's the difference between this and the PC we just looked at? Slightly lower performance gaming CPU. I wouldn't really sweat it that much, honestly. I might take the savings here. And this is a micro ATX PC, so it's a smaller case, but it's got great airflow on it. Some people actually like the smaller case, smaller footprint on their desk. And this comes with an air cooler as opposed to an all-in-one liquid cooler, but this air cooler is perfectly adequate for this CPU. Overall, I really like this package. Again, it's kind of on super sale right now when we're on Prime Day, $13.99. Typically, you'd pay more like $14.99 for it, but a great pickup. I want to show you one other deal around the same price point because this is about where we start finding lower performance gaming CPUs like the i5-14400. There's no K in the name. That's really kind of the dead giveaway here, and it's not an i7 CPU. So i5-14400 still probably adequate for the RTX 4070 Super, though we're probably going to have a slight CPU bottleneck. $1,349. Again, I would just pay the extra 50 bucks and go the other route instead of the one that I just showed you, but that one's usually more expensive. There's usually a bigger price gap. So typically, this is what you're going to be looking at. 32 gigabytes DDR4 RAM. Notice we're on DDR4 now, not DDR5, because just a little bit cheaper out there, and a 1TB NVMe SSD. Typically, this is a pretty good deal out there. I do like this overall configuration. However, around sale time, start looking for those higher end CPUs to also drop. Let me show you a deal that I would put on double fire emoji in the list down there. In fact, it's down there right now on double fire emoji. So this is the ABS Orkin with an i5-13400F. Again, not the highest performance gaming CPU out there, but probably adequate for the RTX 4070. This is not the 4070 Ti or the 4070 Super, so it's a little slower. Go back to that GPU chart I showed you earlier in the video if you're wondering where it ranks in terms of performance. 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM is 2 thumbs up, though, 1TB NVMe for only $1,199. And that is an insane deal right now. I would just grab this one out there if I had about $1,200. Again, this is why I would get a double fire emoji on the list. As we get closer to $1,000 and even under $1,000, more like $900, as I'll show you in just a moment, there's 2 GPUs you're primarily looking for. The first is an AMD GPU. It's the RX 7600 XT 16GB. And I am actually finding pre-builts out there that are using this GPU because it's a phenomenal 1440p one and it's got enough VRAM out there. And I think also they're getting it at a good price. And this is the one that I would hone in on for about $1,000. Obviously, this says $1,149. And then you just apply this $150 coupon. Whenever buying off Amazon, just check to see if there's a coupon or not every time. I don't know why they do this. Why don't they just give you the price? It's $1,000, right? This is a great setup though. Ryzen 5 7600X, that's a pretty high performance, more mid-range gaming CPU on a more budget end system, I got no problem with that if they're going to give it to me for free. This comes with the RX 7600 XT 16GB. It comes with 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM out there at 5200 speed. That's perfectly adequate. You can always add more RAM in the future with a system integrator system like this as well. It's got good airflow on it. It's got a budget tower air cooler. Absolutely love this one for about $1,000. Then as we go below $1,000, down all the way to sometimes like $850, even like $799 at times, you can often find the NVIDIA RTX 3060. Now, this is the 12 gigabyte version. The 12 gigabyte version, make sure in the system specs, as I have here, that it actually says 12 gigabytes because there is an 8 gigabyte version of it as well that's much slower, and it only has 8 gigs of VRAM. 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, and you're typically going to find this either paired with a Ryzen 5600, Ryzen 5600X, those same performance, and the i5 12400 or 12400F. All those CPUs will give you identical performance, and they are all more than adequate for the RTX 3060 12 gigabyte. This one, $929, again, similar setup to what we just looked at with the higher performance gaming CPU, a budget tower air cooler in it. It's got plenty of airflow. It looks great. It's got 1 terabyte NVMe and 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM now. $929, pretty good pickup. Let's jump into the best budget Prebuilt Gaming PC 2024. Maybe this is just the best cheap Prebuilt Gaming PCs of 2024. Depends on your budget, right? Remember to check those links down in the video description for the current best deals that we found. And in particular, this end of the market, I'm not going to lie to you, this tends to be like a total minefield out there with just traps laid for you everywhere to buy things that are going to hurt the gaming PC performance when you think you're saving money. So let me talk about why that is. We've already had the discussion earlier in the video about VRAM capacity. So all the GPUs we're going to look at here are 8 gigabyte GPUs. We do not want any of the 6 gigabyte GPUs, and some of them, like the 3050 6 gigabyte, sound identical to the 3050 8 gigabyte. So it's a total minefield out there. One GPU I would kind of point you to if you've only got about, like $750 up to $800, $900 is the RTX 4060 8 gigabyte. Now, why is the 3060 12 gigabyte recommended over it? Just comes down to VRAM basically. 4060 slightly faster, but will have trouble running some of those games like The Last of Us Part 1, Hogwarts Legacy. Even at 1080p, you'll have to turn down the details on it. That's not what you want to do when you're spending $900 on a gaming PC. But this is a pretty good setup, especially if you mostly play competitive shooters or if you don't mind dialing down those quality settings on those harder to run single player titles. i5 13400F, the 4060 8 gigabyte, 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, 16 gigs of DDR4 3200. You're really not going to find 32 gigs of RAM out here, but the good news is you can always upgrade the RAM, and DDR4 RAM is super cheap out there. Overall, pretty good setup for $849. The other primary GPU you're looking for out there is like the RTX 3050. Now you want the 8 gigabyte. Now I have found so many versions of this with the 6 gigabyte, and they won't tell you. You actually have to get into the system specs. Like for instance, it just says 3050 here. So you have to kind of scroll all the way down. And yes, in fact, they do say this is the 3050 8 gigabyte version. 2 thumbs up there, but a lot of folks won't even say on their listings, and then some are honest and say, no, this is the 6 gigabyte version. And you can find those bad ones for like $600. You think you're saving a lot of money, but you're actually not. This is a good setup, very similar to what we just saw. The CPU i3 1200F, that's kind of getting more on the edge of what I'd like to see, but perfectly adequate for an RTX 3050, which is not that fast of a GPU, 8 gigabytes. Honestly, if it were me, I would spend the $50 and go up. But if this is all you have to spend, or you find this on a super sale, pretty good deal. Remember, everything is linked down in the video description, and we update those deals on a regular basis. And of course, if you got value in the video, it makes a huge difference to give this video a like, and we really appreciate it. And we'll catch you on the next one.